Over the years, we have observed remarkable changes in the way we spend. Changes are not distributed equally in space, but globalization is what influences both well-being and health. There are many changes that have come into play, and these are a result of social changes, economic changes, environmental changes, and most importantly, changes in technology. How do lifestyle, fashion, and food trends control our expenses? Who controls your money? And today we discuss on how lifestyle, fashion, and food trends affect our expenses. And to discuss that, we have with us three distinguished guests today. Number one, we have one Aida Lim Abdullah, Penang Halal International State Agency. And then we also have Datin Maheshwari Ramasamy, entrepreneur and Secretary General, Malaysian Indian Textiles and General Stores Association, MITA. And we also have Dr. Jothee Sinnakkannu, School of Business, Monash University, Malaysia, in the house. Thank you and welcome. Okay, I've always been curious. How does lifestyle, fashion or trend affect our expenses in such a large way? What is the connection?
Okay, so for me, general observation is that, people have this tendency to want to get noticed and have this tendency of admiration. So psychologically, when they see somebody is doing something that they admire, they have a tendency to follow, whether suitable or not.
Right.
But with the speed of social media and digital development and all that, this make it so easy. The moment they see something they want,
The pressure is so real.
yes. And then, for example, you are also in the competition mode. So sometimes they spend, the behavior is they want to compete. That they have a nice car, I have a bigger car. They have a bigger car, I have a faster car. So for example, another way of looking at it is the younger have a tendency, the younger the age, they are more engaging in terms of social media. So it makes the way they spend money, their purchases is very driven by their peers and social media influence. Whereas the older we are more cautious.
Right.
And because the knowledge of financial management and all that also
Much
make
better.
us be a bit more cautious and mindful. But the younger one, they have a tendency of impulsive purchase. So that is the reason why I think in terms of financial management,
Right.
that their spending will become more impulsive than the...
I think with younger generation, right, they're building up their self-confidence and they're learning as they go. So I think the need for acceptance kind of pushes them to be in trend in order to be accepted into social groups. I think even in schools or in their social circle. Do you agree on that, Datin Mahesh?
Now, actually, when you talk about fashion, I think it's basically is individuality.
Right.
You see, a lot of them have their own sense of fashion. So some of them like plain clothes, some like floral, and some like stripes. And this is quite common.
Yes.
But the thing is, of course, in actual sense, it's driven by the most important part is they should feel comfortable in that particular fashion that they are following. But let it be anything. Even if you like cars or even clothes or shoes, they should be able to like what they want to buy.
Right.
So in the real sense is that the consumers, those who are purchasing these products, they should first of all realize that fashion is something that is a subjective matter.
Right.
If they are okay with it, they should be able to follow. But at the end, if at all you are going to spend a lot of money on something, well, you should decide. That's the right to choose whether you want to spend on your needs or your wants. So this is something that a lot of people get carried away, like what Ida says, I want to live like that person, I want to live like this person. Especially celebrities actually influence the consumer spending in a very heavy way. And this is the gimmick that a lot of entrepreneurs
are
use
using
to market the products.
But I think the thing with consumer rights is that most of these purchases are done by young adults. or
Yes.
teenagers who are stepping into adulthood who pretty much have no idea about what finances are.
Yes.
Dr. Jothee, I would like to know, how is this trend of, wanting to keep in trend, where half of the time it dies its natural death even before living its life course, affect the expenses and, cause a dent with the addition of...
rather than saying natural death or something, you say it's commit suicide. Because
Suicide.
the product life cycle is getting speedier and speedier. Before even the product can be used in full,
True.
they are abandoned.
Yes.
Because a new design has come in, new fashion has come in. And like what Datin said, see, the youngsters, they like to be in the trend. They want to immediately change it because they want to own something new.
True.
The minute they own something new, the utilization of that product is still there.
Yes.
While the utilization of the product is not been complete yet, the same product comes in a new fashion.
Yes.
And the youngsters are chasing for it. Same like the iPhone.
Yes, exactly.
They
I was
have
just
got
about
the
to
best
tell you.
technology to sell, because before one can utilize fully, another one new series comes in.
And this is probably even a spec or an addition that they may not even use.
Yeah.
But just to say that I own an iPhone
Own
12
a new design.
and, owning an 11 or one which is a lesser spec kind of puts you out of the circle. And that's a very, very sad reality, right? Because how are they going to survive, with this sort of a very shallow, I don't know, outlook on what money is supposed to be?
Because you can say the money is being simply spent again before the product can be utilized in full. Because the price is what you are paying for.
Right.
Value is what you are getting. And how did you value the value? Have you utilized it? That's the thing. Now you are going and buying another one just because you want to be in the trend. And it is an additional expense which you are causing without the reason of using it.
Right. Yes, Datin, you wanted to add on to that.
Yes, actually the younger generation's lifestyle in spending is basically influenced by their surroundings and their upbringing. You see, when children come from a family with a lot of financial constraints, they know that they have limitations in the money that they can spend.
True.
So due to that, they don't go for very exclusive items, and they don't keep jumping from one product to another in a very short period of time. So that is the trend. But at the same time, if they come from a family where the parents are willing to spend,
yes,
you say, okay, you buy whatever you want, and that's when you see this lifestyle changes and the trend changes according to the scenario. So basically the education or the consumer education on this matter is very important.
So, yes, I also do see that, those days there was a control. But then again, the average or moderate families still do have that, where your pocket money is controlled and how much they give you. But then again, we also have the upper class community where money is not an issue. And parents probably are substituting their absence with rewards, and most often it is money.
Yes, I agree on that, because in a lot of scenarios, what happens, even the middle class families, because both mother and father are working, they have a competition among the parents who is going to be a better parent to the child, and to attract the attention.
The good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, to attract the attention of the child, or to encourage them to do something. Let's say you do well in your exam, I'll get you an iPhone, or if you do well in your exam, I'll get you a car.
Or a barter or a reward system now.
So this is how it works. So that is what is actually influencing the trend among the younger generation.
I know you have something to add on, Puan Aida. Just hold on to that thought. We will discuss that when we come back with Who Controls Your Money? And we're back with Who Controls Your Money? And before we left, we had a thought from Puan Aida. Let's go back. Puan Aida, please add on.
Okay. Bringing from that point that Datin Mahes mentioned just now, I find that nowadays parents are not engaging with the younger generation in terms of financial management. So most of the time, they are looking into their spending. But instead of that, the children or the teenagers nowadays are not engaging in the family financial matters.
Right.
So when they do not understand the financial planning or financial management matters of the family, how the parents actually strive and earn the money, to them, money is just a thing.
Just another thing.
There is no passion in that.
There's no value for money.
Correct. So when they do that, they will only focus on whether they are relevant with the peers, whether there's any competition among peers, whether they are being noticed, and how good they are in social media. So that is their world, which is very different from during our time when we were being brought up. The parents were told us, well, come help me to do this part. Come help me, and then at night we will discuss with the parent how much more we need to accumulate to buy a house. So today a lot of luxury are given just like that because parents are chasing for time and do not have time to engage them, to teach them. So actually all this kind of nurturing education, 100% depend on teacher, 100% depend on formal education is unlikely to happen. They have to experience it, they have to feel it, they have to engage with the family to realize that how difficult it is to get this onto the table.
Touching on that point, I remember, when I speak to my friends or my peers, they always have stories of how their family went through this or that. But I think if we were to ask these millennials, they'd probably have no idea, because I think a lot of parents are also hiding the actual financial issues at home. Touching on that note, Dr. Jothee, being an educator, how do you see this trend spiraling out of control with students?
Well, with students also the same thing like what Zaida said, that they don't have much financial knowledge about or financial planning knowledge about the family. So they feel that everything is given to them.
Entitlement.
It is like available at any time. And they just go on buying new things. And you see, whether they need, like laptop is a very important equipment in learning right now, especially in the pandemic time.
Online
we are teaching online and it's very essential. But even before this pandemic, they were spending on new trends of new laptops and smartphones especially.
Devices are always changing.
All kind of devices, and then kind of a smartwatch now.
Smartwatch.
Smartwatch. Nowadays, I don't even wear a watch because the
phone
is having the
everything.
clock. And they are going for smartwatch which can show their heartbeat rate, the number of steps they walked, and all these things, which I feel
I won't deny that there are some good uses for it, but I see a lot of people investing a lot of money where half of the, functionalities
coming back
are not
to what
used.
you said, the money is free flowing for them. So the parents are not restricting that. So the money is there. They could just go by their peers, like what you said. They just follow the trend and they go and buy something which they don't really need.
One more point I wanted to add, which I see is that, especially for higher education, right? I think because they don't know the value of money. I see a lot of people, the moment they feel like they can't score enough or they're not doing well enough in that subject, they drop it and then they go like, you know what, if I'm not going to get an A, I'm not going to do it. I'll take it next semester, and that is just going to cost them a lot.
Yeah,
they don't pay attention in class.
There were some parents who came and told me directly on my face that, why are you rushing my son?
See?
Let him take his time to pass. I just want him to get through the exams. I have the money to give him. Let him take his own time. So we are talking about the money and inflation and all these things in getting a service or a product. Of course, the inflation is setting up. The parents know that. The younger generation don't know that. So they feel that it's free flowing.
It is free flowing.
Because you see nowadays some parents, the baby is as young as 1 year old. When they are eating, you have an iPad there. So to them, naturally, they treat that as a necessity because they grew up with that piece of thing in front of them. And
that is their normal.
Yes, that is their normal.
Yes. Dati Mahesh, just wanted to know, how are manufacturers, how do you say, keeping up with this? You know, you're probably going and doing your research to bring a trend or a fashionable item. And before that is, fully exhausted, a new one comes in just because somebody is starting a new trend. How is that industry coping with that? Because I'm sure there's a lot of money that goes into bringing a certain trend. And then, moving on that fast, how is it affecting this industry?
You see, basically, if you talk about any economy, it's driven by the demand and supply. And in many cases, it is actually the supplier who is bringing out a new product, marketing it exclusively, either on television or on the social media and all that. And they actually manage to create the demand for the product. Because when, like you said, the millennials are very into this advertising, and they tend to get, oh, this is the latest trend, I would like to follow. So this is how actually the entrepreneurs actually attract the consumers. So in the end, even though eventually it's the consumers who are actually creating the demand, but the demand is driven by the suppliers themselves.
Right.
So that's how the whole concept works. So in this case, actually, like I said earlier, the right to choose and the right for education is very important, whether you really want the product or whether you really need the product. So like you know that during the pandemic, actually they were saying about essential goods and non-essential goods. This is where this category comes in, which is essential and which is not essential. So when you talk about non-essential goods, this the trend which is set by all these celebrities and people out there, which is actually the manufacturers are the one who is actually influencing the demand of the product.
Okay. So I think it's safe to say that, 50 years ago, probably it was the manufacturing companies who thought, okay, this will be fashionable, this will be bought. They came out with what was fashionable. But now it's more like people are pretty much setting the standards of what fashion should be. Because it's very individual, and probably if that individual is in a place of influence, they attract the crowd much faster.
Yes. Right. And when you talk about fashion, let it be any kind of fashion. It's clothing or accessories or shoes or whatever. And the only main thing that the consumers look at is that what is really comfortable for them.
Right.
What is the in thing, what they feel like they can carry themselves well. So when they carry themselves well, that is fashion. That's why initially I said that fashion is actually individuality. So all this basically boils down to whether they really have a good hold of it. Right. Fashion is, there's no such thing as old fashion or new fashion. Everything is like those 60s designs have come back in fashion now. So it's basically like history repeating itself again and again. So that's how it works. And the manufacturers actually know this. So that's the reason why they look at all those older designs, which is all like almost forgotten, and they may bring it back into fashion.
Yes.
And that goes for everything, almost everything.
Okay, but with technology, just to add on that point, with technology advancement, now artificial intelligence, the moment you browse something, even without buying, the supplier or the merchants already capture. Then they will keep pushing that in different color, in different form. So with that kind of push, the consumer will automatically, if first time you don't buy, second time you don't buy, third time, hey, this is something nice and you should buy.
We will have to hold on to that thought again, because we are going to take one more break and we will be back with Who Controls Your Money? Who really controls your money? I have often wondered, how was it possible that a product that I viewed on Instagram immediately pops up on another social media? And that also was one of the top Google questions. And we have Puan Aida to give us her insight. Puan Aida, how is it possible that when I'm Googling something here, it's popping on another platform, and most often it's the exact product?
Okay. This is a very technical question, but I make it simple.
Yes, please.
Because
I'm curious.
A lot of apps, when we register, the data is stored in the cloud. And machine nowadays, you have machine learning, you have artificial intelligence, whereby they take the data and our activity on the internet, they analyze and predict the next action. So this sort of data, if you have experience, when you download certain apps for your own convenience, if you click no, or they cannot access to your data, or you can't get access, basically they are forcing you to agree.
Yes.
So they make it legitimate, whereby your data is allowed for them to use, and they access into your system, whereby they can do something to pop up things. They are not forcing you, but they are using the data and your internet activity as a platform whereby they analyze to get to know you. So for example, like you buy pizza in certain country, when you buy pizza, they automatically know you like certain type of pizza. Right. So the moment you just enter to the apps, or the pizza, for some reason, those that you like got promotion.
Right.
But actually the promotion, if you add up to other charges and service charge, is not that cheap either. So this is how the social media as well as technology with the artificial intelligence, data analytic and all that put together, our mind is being manipulated sometimes by the machine to buy. So they set the scene for us. The moment we go in, we need to buy. And we've forgotten whether our pocket have that much. Because we do not, another thing that consumer do not learn is the spending analysis. They don't analyze their own spending habit and all that. So they are driven by the machine to push it to their mind psychologically, set the scene, buy and buy and buy.
So I'm the established jail and they're trying to jailbreak me.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Jothee, Mahesh, I was very curious, in this era where everything is going online, how are merchants adapting to this new trend where, most often even I am making this, I'm doing this where, I'm looking at a page, I like something, I go like PM please or DM. And I'm sending them a message, and the thing is, we're not online at all times. So there are times where they are replying, I'm doing something, I'm going back and replying. Does that take a toll on the merchants?
Okay, in most cases, like when you talk about online businesses, certain products actually can be sold online quite easily, like some straightforward things like stationeries or books and things like that. But when it comes to clothing, shoes and all that, that's quite difficult, because sometimes you look into the online, pictures, the size may be like it says as S, and then you'll know the S actually, different brands have got different sizes of S, the cuttings, yes. Same goes for plus size, even shoes for the matter. Sometimes size 7 will be in one brand, another brand might be size 9.
Sure.
So what happens is that when you have these kind of complications, the consumers tend to have a lot of confusion. So in our line of business, especially in the clothing industry, what happens is that like saris or even clothes, it's difficult to sell. Even the retail association running the departmental stores especially, actually 70% of their income comes from the clothing department. But when they try online, they'll have less than 5% income from that particular clothing department. So it works better on retail than online. And like saris is the same issue. We have like customers asking us for saris, and then because when we do online businesses, we have to be constantly, someone has to be full-time attending to it, because the person will ask for this sari, and then they say, okay, this particular price, and then they say they want different colors and then different designs in the same price range, and it can go on, and at the end of the day say, okay, I like the design, I'll come to your shop and buy personally. That's how it works.
Just to go a bit further, I also see another trend or a phenomenon, which is where a lot of merchants are closing shop and they're opting for an online platform, because they feel like, we no longer have walking customers, we're paying rent, we have our overhead to look at, so why not go online, where you set up a web, you can do your shopping online. How is this being embraced by everyone, or is it difficult?
It is embraced by a certain group of business people, because there are some products you actually can sell online. Like for example, you can sell tops, you can sell
shoes,
certain type of leggings,
shoes.
And even clothing. Actually, not all type of clothing can be sold. There are a lot of cases where people buy online and then they say, okay, this is not what I expected, so they return it back and they ask for refund. And we have faced that problem too. So the thing is, when you talk about online and retail, being a retail business person, I noticed that we do better sales on retail than online. And most of the customers, they buy like the cheaper items online, but then they don't understand that sometimes the cost goes up because of postage expenses. Even if you're paying Grab, you take about restaurants, for example. Restaurants say, why do they think they insist they have one dine-in? Because dine-in, they can just actually see some profit there. When you talk about Grab food or whatever, and that actually, a lot of the bulk of their expenses goes to the transportation cost. So they don't really make much money there. So that's the reason why they insist that they want dine-in, because dine-in actually, at least they can do some business. This goes for everything.
Jothee, I was always very curious. When I walk into a supermarket, it kind of works on my side as well, where I see like the most, assuming I'm looking for something which is less than $5, those items are usually placed right at the back aisle, and those expensive things are often displayed at the front. And you know, as you go like from the highest to the lowest, and by the time I reach the last aisle, I think I might have forgotten most often what I'm there to buy, because I'm looking at, oh, this sale, this sale, this sale, and like my eyes are bigger than my wallet, and there goes my expenses. What's happening?
Well, you see, marketing is a very big psychological gimmick.
Right.
You see, they know exactly what runs in your mind.
And it looks so tailor-made for me.
No, because we have got a lot of, like what Ms. Aida said just now, the artificial intelligence, they have learned about you, your eye tracking. They have got a new system where it tracks your eyes, how your eyes moves to where first, then to where. See, that by the time your eye tracking goes from one to another and another, it gives you a kind of a maze-like thing where you have forgotten, like what you said, exactly what you wanted to buy, and jump to conclusion to buy something which is quite expensive, which you didn't plan for, and you'll buy. You see, last time in marketing we call it attention,
Right.
and you analyze and finally you make a decision. Now, attention is skilled. You just go and your eye tracking goes haywire until you just go and buy something and come back.
That is just so scary, which again brings me back to who is controlling my money now. You know, it's making me think. And one of the top questions that consumers have are, when they say there is a 50% discount on an item, is the item really on discount, or is the price hiked up above market, so that, you know, when they bring it down, they're actually selling it for the actual price? It's something that I've always wondered, and it's something consumers are wondering too.
Going that buy one for twice the price and get another one free.
Unless it's
How
a
does that
Prada, I'm
sound?
not buying it.
How does that sound?
It sounds
Buy
too good to
one-
be true.
Buy one for twice the price and get the other free. So instead of me selling to you one, I will try to push two to you, one shot.
I see Miss Datin Mahesh laughing.
Because
Yes, it
the
is part and
suppliers-
parcel of the business. Yes.
That is a kind of pricing psychology, but there's another part that is influencing a consumer very much, is the touch and feel, the experience. That's why just now Datin Mahesh mentioned that, you know, why they must have a dine-in, because when you sit in, you don't have to worry about later who is going to wash the dishes. The atmosphere is so blissful, the ambience is nice. It's easy to have a conversation with whoever you bring. So dine in a way that certain services, we are paying for services of the touch and feel. It's just like when we go to retail, when we buy clothes, we would like the person to guide us. This color is more suitable. This one, the moment, actually you never like, for example, you never like yellow, but because she repeatedly showing you, repeatedly tell you, it looks good. So you actually psychologically, okay, I buy this one.
Right.
Yes. I would like to add to that actually, because like when you talk about wedding attires, most of the brides actually, they do not like to buy anything online because they would like to see the product themselves.
I have one question exactly related to that. Just hold that thought, Datin Mahesh. We'll come back on who controls your money. The question, who controls your money? And we have a new term, and it's called phygital. And I'm going to talk to Datin Mahesh to find out more. Datin Mahesh, just now, you're adding on about the sari, the wedding, and the experience. And I just read about something called phygital. I think it's a combination of going physical and digital, where, you know, sometimes they do the shopping online. But then again, some experiences cannot be replicated online, right?
Yes.
When it comes to a wedding,
Yes.
So you wanted to add on one.
Yeah, you see, what happens is, let it be the older generation or the younger generation, when they want to buy a wedding attire, which is a once-in-a-lifetime affair, they certainly want to come as a family and see the product, and everyone has to approve. Okay, this is nice
It's
on
an
you.
experience on
Yes,
its
it's
own.
a very nice experience actually. So it's a family kind of experience.
Sure.
They take the trouble to spend some time and come as a family. And the main reason they do that is because they want to see the product in real life. You see, what you see on picture, especially in online, it can be actually beautified with a lot of colorings, the technical way of they present the product. The Photoshop, edited, everything. So the whole product looks so beautiful, so gorgeous. And the model who's wearing it will be definitely slim and tall and very exclusively looking. So that is the glamorous part.
Yes.
So when you look, that attire is very nice on that person, you think it's nice on you. But at the end of the day, if you buy it online, it doesn't suit you.
Right.
So what happens is this kind of situation always arises when it comes to...
Expectations are always not the reality.
Yeah. So they prefer to come directly to the shop, see at least about 50 to 60 saris before they decide what exactly they want. Same goes for wedding attires. Even let it be a gown, let it be a cheongsam or baju kurung, everything is the same. They would like to see so many designs before they decide. So that's why I say that certain products can be sold online. Certain products can never be sold online. The retail outlets still need to exist to make sure that the service and the product is presented well to the customers.
Okay, interesting. Dr. Jothee, is there a silver lining to this?
Silver lining to this is money.
Money.
If you have the money,
will people eventually get tired of chasing that trend that need to be accepted and say, you know what, I'm done.
No.
I'm not going to do any purchases.
That will never end.
That will never end.
I can safely say...
Even with maturity and age, you don't think so?
No. We are changing our trend. Again, maturity and all this depends on what you need at that stage of your life.
Right.
You see, I know a doctor, a medical doctor, who was using a very cheap car and he didn't get business. And suddenly he bought a loan and bought a brand new Mercedes-Benz and parked right in front of his clinic, and he saw customers coming in. So you see, trend setting is one thing. What you own and drive sets your professionalism.
Right.
Sets your how good you are in your profession.
So unfortunately, impressions do
Impressions,
count.
yes. It creates an impression. So therefore, at different stages of your life, your needs and wants are different.
And it also tags to the social symbol.
Yes.
And you know how affluent you are in a social circle.
Yeah. What do you drive? What do you own?
Status symbol, yes.
Which place you own your home?
Right. All this, I think, comes into count.
Club do you go for? There are so many augmented items which sets you in, It's not just that by yourself you're dressing or anything. It's other things where you go, where you buy your
So it's a ghost that will never stop chasing you at any point.
Yes.
It's either the need to be socially accepted by your peers when you're young,
yes,
or to be accepted in a social setting when you're much older.
Yes.
Adding to what Prof is saying,
Yes.
actually, the trend is now followed not only by the millennials, they are also by the older generation.
Yes.
What happens is that when they go for a function, for example, if they wear one attire, because the same family people will be coming again for the next function, they will not wear the same attire. They surely want to buy a new one to wear for the next function, because they don't want to say, oh, you're wearing the same one like before. You see, this is the mentality that a lot of people have. So there's no such thing as recycling of the product.
Which goes to show that because things are so expensive,
yes,
you're constantly in a cycle to keep replenishing, and it's a lot of money for things that you barely wear twice.
Yes.
Right?
That is the truth. So the only thing I think they keep on wearing is shoes. But when you talk about attires and even accessories for the matter, of course, accessories can be used again and again. But when it comes about clothing, they are very particular about this when they go for the next function.
Sure.
Besides that, actually, like what Prof said just now, even if they want to go and dine in a restaurant, or even they want to go into a shop to buy something, the people have the perception when they look at it, oh, this shop is crowded. So that means the food must be good. And then they say, okay, now let me try. That's kind of implications. So this is where all these advertisements come in, and, trying to prove a point that, actually the consumers are actually driven by advertisements.
Talking about influencers, we see a rise in trend with the influence from other countries. Specifically, we see the K-pop culture, which has pretty much boomed when it comes to fashion, the lifestyle, the trend, the movies, the Korean dramas, the bubble tea. Then there's this other part of this coffee culture, cafe culture, and all of these things require a lot of funds because they're not cheap, because coming from another culture. And how are we allowing this to also pretty much, affect our expenses?
Yeah, I think because of the curiosity, partly maybe because of the curiosity, they are curious about people's culture, they want to learn about people's culture, and they have this yearning, this want to be part of that kind of thing.
Right.
So they don't mind spending just to have a feel. What's wrong with that? So when they go in, then they realize so many people are in there, and then it's so easy to experience.
So they don't read the fine print.
Correct.
Right,
Correct.
right. Because once you go in, there is no way out. Because, you are pretty much doing something to cover for the other action. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of parents are also, when we go back into the younger generation, a lot of parents are not really disclosing the actual family financial situation. And it starts off as, saying okay to 1, 2, 3. And then there comes a point where they can't say that anymore. And then you find yourself in a financial rut. So how can we take heed, Professor?
Well, financial planning has been spoken many, many years. Some of them follows very strictly. Many of them don't follow.
Right.
And the worst part is now with the bankers coming in. I'm not particularly telling any banker. Bankers coming into their own gimmicks of throwing credit cards to you, to buy things from your future earnings. You're not buying anything from your past earnings where there is savings. But when you are given a credit card with a very unlimited kind of a line of credit, you will go and simply buy, and you don't see the physical money going at that time.
Right.
And you are in a different world at that moment. While once you have spent the money, when your bill comes in and you start paying, that's the time you feel the pinch. And this, I could say that is artificially driven beyond your capacity. And you go and buy things beyond your capacity and your future income.
Yeah, but I would like to add on to what Professor just said. Also with the technology fusion with the credit available, things, you no longer touch the physical currency. So it's so easy. You register something, like for example, Grab, you have a whole lot of things in there. You just press something and
it doesn't really feel like you're actually using your money.
So those days gone are those days we carry coins and physical currency. We can see, okay, our wallet is getting lighter, so buy less. But now with all this QR pay, all this cashless and all that, it's so easy. You just press and the goods will be sent to you. But you didn't realize until end of the month, then you realize how many times you have pressed.
I think this is a very good point to stress. Who really controls your money? And now that you know in ways where you can actually lose control, what can we do to curb it? Very quickly, Puan Hamida, what would you say?
Yeah, I would think that, we have to evaluate whenever in any situation, before you press the button or before you buy something, make an evaluation whether this is a want or this is a need. Whether you are spending, abundant spending, that means you just spend without thinking. This, you have to pause for a while. Did I just buy this last month? Or do I have the similar one, same different color? Because you see consumer going in, I like this pair of shoe. Next month going in, same pair of shoe, but different colors. So they don't think anymore. They just follow the trend and crazily just spend. Is so easy. The facilitation in our today's economy, helping an individual to make payment, is one of the reasons, beside our psychology need to follow, that ease of payment have made them have no issue in spending until when they get into a situation, they realize they need some help.
People should know that we are being controlled by tools that are supposedly supposed to help us, but they're not.
I would say that all consumers, all of us are consumers, whether they're business people or anybody, we all have rights, and which comes with the responsibilities too. So when you have the right to choose what you want to buy, whether it's need or wants, you also have the right to know whether that product the information, the actual info about the product before you buy. For example, if medications you buy, there are some medications you buy in the pharmacies or even on online or maybe through MLMs. It can cause side effects on you if you're not careful. Some medications can cause gastric if you eat that medicine. So what doctors usually prescribe is they prescribe it together with the gastric medication. So these are things that you have to know, the information. When you want to buy electrical products, you need to know about it. Everything is basically about information. So this is one of their right. And this is their responsibility to also find out. So I would say that if you want to spend any money, you should basically distinguish between what you really need and what you really don't need at the moment.
Right. Thank you, Jothee. Yes, Professor.
Wants and needs, of course, we have studied from the basic commerce of it. Food, shelter and clothing are the real basic needs.
Exactly.
But nowadays, within food, shelter and clothing itself, we have got so many augmented levels.
Subtopics which are just
because
pending.
Like what do you want to choose, the lower end of it or the higher end of it now? Because based on your trends and like what you say, the fashionable lifestyle, you may want to go for a high end just to show off that you can afford it.
Yes.
But whether fundamentally you can afford it or no is not a question there. Just that you're creating a kind of what we call an artificial show there, that I have this thing.
Right.
That means I must be successful in my life. So the world has been looking at successful people as the trendsetters.
The self-esteem.
Yeah.
Right.
The self-esteem. So when they have something, they feel that they are okay, they are acceptable.
Automatically you feel you are successful.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your insightful points. I think this sort of raw information is what we need. And thank you once again for joining me today. And for the viewers out there, I would like to leave you on this note. Make wise choices, smart choices, and learn to differentiate between your needs and your wants. And I'll meet you again on another session of Who Controls Your Money? Signing off, Jaswinder Man.